Welcome back, everybody, to what are we at now? 10th?
I think
11th?
episode 12.
Episode 12. Wow.
Is it
Welcome back to
12?
the 12th episode of the Lob It Up
Damn.
Podcast with your hosts, Tobias, CP, Chris Panette, and Sivash Gorbani. Boys, how are we doing? I feel like this week has been extra long. How was your week?
Yeah, the week's been good. Yeah, exactly. Like you're saying, like this week has felt like a freaking marathon.
Yeah.
Crazy. But it was also me too. Like I was hyped to got a new tattoo on Friday. So
Okay.
obviously, when you're looking forward to something, the days leading up to that are like, man, like, is this day done yet?
Flash
But
that ink for us real quick, Chris.
yeah, we got the new ink up
Go.
in here. So,
There you go.
just adding slowly. Wow. Yeah.
Let's
So
see.
for me, week was good. How about you, see?
I had a good week, man. I had to change the tires this weekend,
Dang.
and I went on a long bike ride finally.
Better
This is rainy days. Once they stop, I think we're gonna have more fun days. But when it's rainy, it just feels like it's taking longer.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like Chris said in a previous episode, April showers bring May
No.
flower dresses.
You don't have to you don't have to repeat it.
May
I heard it.
sunflower dresses.
But yeah, it's actually a crazy week in basketball as well. We saw a lot of great games. Jason Tatum with a 60-point game. We
Yeah.
saw a 32-point comeback. I think that was in the same game.
Yeah.
Steph Curry had an
something like
amazing third quarter, dropping 23 points. And the Toronto Raptors stunned the Los Angeles Lakers. They are looking a little scary right now. They're in the 7th seed, but we'll get to that after the center draft. But first, before all of that, we got to get into that trivia. Chris, let's hit it.
What's going on? Okay, so we got I tried to keep like the trivia questions a little bit related to our draft this week. A little hard finding center specific questions because some would be point blank, like easy. Just easy. All right, so first question.
Wait, before you start, what's the score?
I
Am
think
up
you're
2 or
up
3?
by 2.
I think
it's
he's up
3.
2. C is up 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
All
take
right.
2 pointer.
So we all know Wilt Chamberlain was a dominant scorer, and he has scored 2,000 points in one season. But there was a player who had scored 2,000 points in a season before him. Who was this player?
Oh, no options.
No options. I'm not giving you no options.
What
Give
season?
you guys options. It's too easy.
What's the year? What season is this?
It's old. This is Tobias's era. This was in. All right, I'll help you out here.
Yeah, give me a year.
Okay, so this guy scored 2,001 points with the Detroit Falcons in the 1957-1958 season.
Okay. Well, who I have is definitely not it then.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put
I
my
don't even
guy
know
up.
what this is.
See, I don't know. I think we're both getting squashed on this one, but
Good. That's what I need.
Can I have? I'm gonna need like 5 more seconds.
Yeah, take all the seconds you need.
I need that.
Take 'em.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw a name up here.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Tobe,
know
you
it's
wanna
not my
read yours?
guy, but yeah, George Mikan.
Oh shoot, I got the same answer.
Dang.
Oh,
Because
well.
I was thinking it's not Russell because Bill Russell didn't put up
Yeah,
points
no.
like that. But yeah,
Unfortunately, you're both wrong. It was actually George Yardley.
dang, we were close.
So
but
very
we were-
close. When you said George, I was like,
Can we
oh,
get
shit.
half points? We got the first name. We
The
got
first,
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
guys got the first name. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually
Alright.
never even heard of that person before, so
Me
Oh,
neither.
really?
doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's a creative player.
Yeah, exactly.
All
Yeah.
Creative play.
Be a pro. It was just be a pro in 2K11.
All right. So this next one. So in the 1995 All-Star Weekend, this team was one of the only teams to have taken home the first place trophy in both the slam dunk and shootout. What team was this?
Is Tobias searching answers? What are you looking at, bro?
I'm writing down.
Oh, okay. Can you give us like again? These
No.
are like you're asking.
Do you want the
All right.
names of the players?
No, because I'm
Okay.
writing
No,
it
no,
down right
no, no, no. Yeah, don't write name of the. I don't
It's
want
just
name
the
of the
team.
player.
I
Just,
need the team name.
yeah, I know. Give me
Okay.
East or West.
They
I think that's
are
general.
East.
now. East.
East. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck. Give me another 5
See, this
seconds.
guy knows. This guy's confident.
I feel like
He's-
I know who it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I wrote down the players too,
Oh.
but
Yeah,
now I'm
this is
second
dumb.
guessing it.
I heard it.
Like the players. I think I got one of them right.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, they are the Eastern Conference.
Okay, go ahead, Tobe. Read it.
The Atlanta Hawks. The two players were Kenny Smith for the 3-point contest and Dominique Wilkins for the slam dunk contest.
Pretty good. I don't know the players, but I went with the Charlotte Hornets.
Actually, you're both wrong.
Dang, bro!
Hey,
You're both wrong.
Who?
It was actually the Miami Heat.
Glenn Rice.
Guard Harold Miner and the slam dunk. He won the slam dunk, and Glenn Rice took home the 3-point.
Minor. I barely know her.
Miner. And the
Little office
last one,
Oh,
which
there's
is
one more.
still center related for you guys. Oh, geez, where'd they go? There they are. Perfect. All right.
I gotta get one.
So again,
Same, bro.
we all know the scoring legend that Wilt Chamberlain is. Now, these teams, the Golden State Warriors, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Los Angeles Lakers, have all retired his jersey number. But what other basketball team has also retired his jersey number?
Oh no.
Can you say what the teams were again?
So you've got the Golden State Warriors, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Those are the teams he played for.
Now, this fun-loving center also had his number retired by another basketball squad. And if you listen closely, that was a big hint for you guys.
No, it's not.
It was. Tobe's kind of smiled and he was like,
Because I'm thinking something else that'll bring up in a bit. But
I'm just gonna go with.
what?
I mean, if you said the MJ and the Heat, maybe I would have got that.
Right?
but
That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking about. Is it the Heat? But
I'm gonna go. I have an answer. I'm not confident, but just gonna talk out
Who
loud,
was it? Golden
just like a
State?
barbershop.
Golden State,
Seven.
Lakers, and who?
76ers have
I was
retired
gonna
his
say.
number.
Those are the teams he played for. I don't know if the other team has he played for the other team, Chris.
Yes, he did. I think he played for like a season for them.
This is goofy, bro. Not the thing. I
Mhm.
can't even think of it. I don't know why.
You guys are overthinking it. Just gotta have fun with it. You have a good time. That's what you're there for. Fun and a good
I'm
time.
gonna erase my.
You
answer
keep
now.
saying
This is
things.
not-
You're not there. You're not there to see to watch a high scoring game. You're there to watch fun times, good times.
Oh, I know which one it is. I don't know if I spelled it properly.
San Antonio Spurs?
No.
The Globetrotters.
Yes. See you back.
Come
The
on.
Globetrotters.
Wow.
I know.
Nice
I
grab.
specifically looked up obscure NBA facts.
Nice grab,
That was
Siva.
one of them. That's why I
Do
was
you
I was like, he's a fun-loving guy because, like, yeah, he loved to have fun. He loved to do that stuff. So I think he played with them for like one season, and I think in 2000 is when they retired his number as
Do you
well.
know my thought process behind San Antonio Spurs?
Yeah, I don't know why you said fun. Like,
You just kept saying fun guy.
But-
And I'm like, oh,
but-
it's got to be Kawhi.
oh no. Okay, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
Bro, I wrote the Knicks at first because he kept saying fun-loving team. I'm like, he didn't play for the Celtics, and the Knicks were the other team that was there back then.
Yeah,
But yeah, no.
there you go.
Good fact. I
There
like
you go.
that.
There you go.
Before we get into the draft, speaking of Wilt Chamberlain and a fun-loving guy, this man really was a fun-loving guy on and off the court. He's rumored to have slept with over 20,000 women.
My God.
Dude, this guy was putting in damage. Like, he was putting up numbers on the court and off the court.
Bro.
We gotta get to him. I
Because
have
like
another
how
funny
long did he
story
play
about
for? Was
him.
it 18 years, 20 years?
No, way less.
Yeah.
Wilt
'Cause
Chamberlain?
Like-
he's
Or
by
no, it's
injuries,
Kareem
yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Kareem
Kareem
20,
played for
but-
20.
But we'll play for
Ugh.
less. But I think we could probably talk about this one, whoever picks him during the
That's
draft.
crazy.
Yeah. So
It's a lot.
speaking of the draft, Steve Ash, break it down. This is the final position that we're getting into. So if it's your first time watching, I don't know where you've been. I don't know why you've missed the first 4 episodes, but make sure you go check those ones out so you can see point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. But break down the rules for the center position here, Steve Ash.
So if you have missed, as Tobe said, if you missed the last 4 episodes, we do this draft based on accomplishments. But again, we have our biases. We have our picks that, we just pick him because we like a player. So you're going to see some picks in here that, is not going to make sense. Like last week, I missed out on Charles Barkley because I totally forgot about him. You're not going to see that in a professional draft. This is not professional.
We've seen Jamal Crawford be drafted.
Yep, we did. We 100% did see him get drafted.
So yeah.
Hey.
Again, we're doing a snake draft. This week the order is, I believe, Chris first, Tobias second, and I am going third. It is a snake draft, and we're gonna get started. Chris, hit us with the first pick of the all-time center draft.
Wow, this one was really hard. I was torn between these 2 players. Again, looking at both players, both have put up around like the same numbers. There's obviously some different stats, a few key different stat differences here. And again, it just breaks down to fucking loving the one guy.
Yeah.
I know, I see it, but it's hard.
I wanted him.
I know you want him, and I'm probably going to leave him for you. Fuck.
What?
It's tough.
He's literally about to pick the guy. He's switching up. What?
No. That's why it's so hard. It's so
sure.
hard. It is so hard.
It is pretty difficult.
Because it's like,
go with your gut.
My thought process is I'm looking at Kareem, probably one of the best players ever, and then you've got the Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most dominant fucking players ever. You couldn't stop the man. Like,
I would just like to let you know, I'll give you a little bit of insider trading. Whatever one you don't pick is not making it to see that.
Fuck.
Yeah, I figured.
Why?
No, I figured.
Oh, man. I want to check.
I know. I want the Diesel. He's so funny. He's sick. But I'm going to go with Kareem. I will go with Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The man played almost 1,600 games, averaged 24.6 points, 11.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2.6 blocks, and he had a 6-time MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he has the NBA record as well for most All-Star appearances with like 19, I believe it is.
Looks like it, yeah.
And he only missed 1 year because of an injury, and that's the only reason he didn't.
Wow.
But,
wow.
Yeah. And he was either 2 on the defensive end. 11 all defensive as well.
And Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
That's his original name, Lou Alcindor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So very similar to, when we speak of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously influential on the basketball court, but influential when it comes to, the revolution around his era. You think of a guy like Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. Very similar in the sense that they changed their name to kind of embrace the culture that they were trying to. I don't know how to really speak on it, but embrace the culture that they were trying to push and trying to show was accepted, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you didn't even mention it. I'm surprised, but this man holds the all-time NBA record in points as well. And, it really looks like only one man at this point. Obviously, in the future, it could change, but it only really looks like one man is going to touch that. And even that's looking close with LeBron James.
The GOAT.
Yes. But yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, great pick.
Your GOAT could never.
Bro, chill like that. Yeah. So I teased it. With my first pick, the second pick, I'm taking Shaq. Dude, he's probably the most dominant player to ever grace the hard court. One of the greatest Lakers of all time. I love him more as an Orlando Magic player than as a Los Angeles Laker. I really think that if Shaq was able to keep that size and weight throughout his career, he would have had, a much brighter career. He would have had a longer career. You look at, the weight he was packing in the Boston Celtics team. He's a big boy back then, but still, like,
Well, even like
he,
when he was on Miami too, right? And he won that chip with D Wade.
yeah.
Well, it's like, oof.
So you could toss it around, and like you're not getting in the way. Like Kyle Lowry, shout out to Kyle Lowry, your boy, K Lau. That man will take a charge from LeBron at an All Star game, bro. Shaq's coming down the court. You're not take. You are
No, you're
running
moving.
out
You're
of the
moving out the
way.
way. You're out the way.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the most dominant players in NBA history. When you talk about size and strength, and the ability to transfer that into skill as well. Um, Shaq was a beast, 4-time NBA champion. So yeah, big diesel.
Big Diesel.
Yeah. And one of the most influential players off the court, as you mentioned, like with business and everything
Yeah.
else. This guy has just been incredible.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm mad. Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite centers of all time. So I'm upset you took him. But I have back-to-back picks.
I
This leaves
know.
me with some great options. With the number 3 pick, I will be taking a guy we just spoke about, Will Chamberlain.
Okay.
This guy is a myth. I mean, there was a stat a few nights ago because of Steph's streak of 30-point games. Steph had 11. I think the second best guy was James Harden in 2018 or 2019. He had like 30 or 40. And there was Wilt at, I believe, 100. This guy is a myth. Like, no way we're going to... This guy is a top 3, arguably top 5 greatest center of all time. I would not pick him over Shaq because to me, Shaq, I have seen what this guy does. Wilt, the 100-point game, there's no film. Apparently, there was a circus in town.
Yeah.
And they just, like, they didn't film it.
Fuck it, yeah.
Yeah, they just, I mean, he could have probably just wrote down 100 and took a picture of it. Legendary picture, but, And there was a story I do want to mention. Kareem was saying a story. He didn't enjoy his time with Wilt because Wilt was kind of a bold guy, as he mentioned. And he was saying one time they were in an elevator and some guy walks in and he's like, hey, how's the weather up there? And apparently Wilt spits on him. He's like, it's raining. I love Wilt, bro.
What a savage! What a savage, bro.
Bro, imagine that. You try to be slick to a tall guy and he does that to you. What are you going to do to him?
Yeah.
He's like,
he's
6'11".
He's brave because like, when was Wilt playing? Like, what are the years?
70s?
Yeah.
60s, 70s?
Bro, racism is still thriving. And you're gonna spit on somebody, bro.
But he was on TV. Like, they were praising him.
Doing that.
Yeah, but they were praising him pretty well. They were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, look at this guy playing basketball." Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely like a difficult time for them too. But
And like Will was an athlete, bro. This guy's like running triathlons, and for a long time, he's obviously old now, but like if you look at prime Wilt Chamberlain, a lot of people that played in the NBA that currently play in the NBA or just around the league say Wilt Chamberlain in his prime could fit into this league, no problem. He was an actual athlete, bro. Like when you look at the classic knock. I know Steve Ash
Not
likes
the
to
mailman
say it all
and
the
the
time.
doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, the dentists and the construction workers, but like this dude you're not messing around with this, bro. Like this guy's running up and down the court, and you're like, where is he going? And he's already down in the paint grabbing a board. So yeah, Wilt Chamberlain, great pick, one of the greatest centers of all time for sure, top 5.
so again, difficult decision moving forward. I'm gonna leave a player on the board. I believe Tobias is definitely gonna pick him, but I'm gonna pick somebody that I think his defense means more to me than what the other guy has done. So I'm gonna go with Hakeem.
No guy.
So MJ said he was glad that he didn't face Hakeem in the finals in all of his career.
That's the
because
one
he
guy
believed
I wanted.
MJ truly believed that Hakeem could have actually stopped him from getting a championship. He is a 2-time champion, Finals MVP, 1993. He won an MVP.
One of the best two-way players.
Honestly, man, he's probably the greatest defensive player of all time. I think there's a solid argument for that. I don't think you can make it maybe like, I don't know, Scottie Pippen or MJ. Like, to me, Hakeem is the greatest defensive player of all time. 3-time block champion, 2-time defensive player of the year. Hey, man, listen. If this guy's on the board, I might even take him over Wilt or Shaq, but he's a great defensive player, and I think. And another story, while we're at the time of the year, we're in Ramadan. He's one of the players that fasted while he played.
That's
And to the
dope.
people that don't know that what Ramadan is, you basically fast water and you don't drink water, you don't eat from sunrise to sunset during a month. It's a Islamic tradition. So this guy did it while he played in the NBA. Right now, Kyrie's doing it. Like this is incredible. And this guy did it in the finals.
Jeez.
Incredible, man. Just
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, I think Hakeem, not only among centers, but among all NBA players, is one of the most underrated players of all time. And he still is very much appreciated, but I think he's very, very underrated. This man was shooting the three as a center in the 90s. Like,
Bro, like
this
that's
guy was a
unheard of,
beast.
man.
I honestly, like, I wanted him so bad, Siavash, but I knew that if I left Shaq, you would be taking him. But I was like, there's a chance that he might pass up on Hakeem. If I had first overall pick, I would actually very strongly consider taking Hakeem. I have that much
Absolutely.
appreciation for him. But yeah, great pick. Great pick. Fuck.
Love Hakeem.
Well, I mean, the guy that I'm picking here is no schlub. The greatest winner of all time when we talk about when it's all said and done. Um, a lot of times your career is measured by one thing. John Stockton, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, they can all tell you that they get, yeah, you had a great career, you were productive, but you were missing that one thing. And this guy got that one thing 11 times. The greatest winner in NBA history, Bill Russell. Bill Russell, obviously playing in the early era of the NBA, but was a very dominant force. Not so much offensively, but his impact defensively was great as well, averaging 22 and a half rebounds per game. Um, and unfortunately, steals and blocks weren't really measured back then. So there are no stats to measure up with that, but you can't argue with an 11-time NBA champion. But yeah, I like the impact of Bill Russell. He's the dude that's always there, handing out the chip at the end of the year. Probably one of my favorite. I can't even remember who it was. I think it was Shaq. But it was at the Hall of Fame speech. Someone was doing their Hall of Fame speech, and they were like giving a little jab to Bill Russell, and this guy full on just goes right to
Yeah, you see
like
him.
yeah, it's like the camera, and it's like this old dude with this cracked out like middle finger. Like it's just so jokes. So yeah, I love Bill Russell. A lot of that's the thing that I'm noticing with these guys that we've taken so far. A lot of them, like, they are professional athletes and they're there to win, and there's this competitive drive. But a lot of them, bro, they're actually just they're funny. They're
Yeah.
jokes. They love to have fun. Um,
Because
yeah,
I feel like back then, even like the era they played in, like if you were one as tall as any of these players were and athletic as any of these players were, you can't really afford to like not have them around. There would be like, with like Melo, how Melo sat out for what was it like 2 seasons, a season?
hmm
Nobody
Season
wanted to
and a
draft
half.
him. During their era, nobody would be stupid enough to have any of these guys sitting for any reason whatsoever.
yeah.
Like size, talent, all that stuff is probably was really hard to come by back then. You know, unless you want a
Yeah.
7-foot dentist.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
All
free
right,
dental
one
cleaning
more.
while you're at it, I guess.
Exactly.
One more Bill Russell story. I think it was another award that they were handing him an award, and like all the centers were on the stage. It was Dikembe, I believe it was Alonzo Mourning, and a few other centers.
Yeah.
And he's accepting the award, and he takes a moment and he starts pointing at them
Oh
on the
yeah,
stage,
yeah. I beat you.
and he's like, "I'll kick all your asses."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just that competitive drive, right, bro? And it's just like,
Bro.
yes, we understand he played in the 50s, he played in the 60s, but
Love it.
what do I care about most when it comes down to my squad, to my
This guy
players? I
wants a
want that
dog.
Rings,
dog mentality.
This guy
rings.
wants a
Yeah,
dog.
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, those five, I think we can all agree that's the top level.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's this next tier that's coming up, and it gets
A little
little
dicey.
shaky after that. We can see where we want to go, and that's where I think biases are going to come in. But
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you got back-to-back picks now, so you're up, man.
I do. All right. So with my second pick, I'll be selecting this player. He's one of it was one of 4 players to score a quadruple double in a single game. In addition to that, he's a 10-time All Star and All NBA member. Even though he actually missed 2 years in the NBA, due to his time in the U.S. Navy, which is
Hmm.
was it because was it our point guard or shooting guard draft where you selected a player who was actually fought in the war?
Oh, wow. Why
It
am
was
I?
Elgin Baylor,
Elgin
Yeah,
Baylor.
at
that's
the
it. Yeah.
small forward.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Well, I think David Robinson, like he was supposed to get drafted, but then
mhm,
he didn't come in until he finished his service. So it
yeah,
was the start of his career,
exactly.
I believe, with the Spurs. Yeah.
Yeah. He won Rookie of the Year in 1989, and like you said, I'm picking Mr. David Robinson.
The Admiral, also known as.
I don't know.
It's a
Oh,
sick
yep.
name.
That is actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
Imagine being called that. It's
Yeah.
like, who's coming down the court? Oh, it's the Admiral. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Have you guys heard of the low beef between him and Shaq, and
Hmm.
like how Shaq built a beef because Admiral basically took away his scoring champion award. I
Yeah.
think it was 96 or 97.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Shaq
He was.
basically created this story that when he was a child, he went up to the Admiral and he asked for a photo, but he just blew him off. And this story went on for years until Shaq went on TV one day and he was like, I would like to apologize to Mr. David Robinson. I had to create these like reasons for me to get into the competitive nature
Yeah.
and to want to beat you. And, that story was fabricated. But
Jeez.
that just back and forth was just incredible.
And like I talked about it when we did our power forward draft with Carl Malone and how he was, one of the first guys, especially in the '90s, to really take working out and being, a professional basketball athlete seriously. You look at the arms on Carl Malone. David Robinson was the exact same way. This guy was massive, dude. You don't want to get in the paint with him. He's going to destroy you. So yeah, great pick.
And then I guess with my third pick, I'll be picking Mr. Patrick Ewing.
Hey,
So,
Space Jam.
good
yeah,
pick.
little Space Jam action for you. Yeah, the tall, dopey looking alien.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ewing, impressive career, 11-time All-Star, won Rookie of the Year, 1985, averaged near double-doubles for most of his career. And I don't know how true this still is, because he's probably maybe been bumped down by now, but saying he's finished 23rd in all-time scoring. But I'm pretty sure
Something
he's
like that.
probably down a couple more notches now with, some goats coming on in, still scoring points. Not
I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip that face again.
yeah, and he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, actually, are all these guys in the Hall of Fame?
I think so.
All the ones we've discussed so far.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Cool. Those are my picks.
Next legend.
Yeah, I'll be
Patrick
holding
Ewing.
out till Dwight Howard. So, just kidding. Or am I? Maybe.
So yeah, maybe he won't be there by the time you come back. See
It's
that
my
point
secret.
snap
I'll
up.
never tell.
Okay, so yeah, just quickly on Patrick Ewing, I have this great poster in my other room. It's Michael Jordan dunking on Patrick Ewing at the Garden, which is pretty nice. But yeah, Patrick Ewing, one of the greatest centers, probably the greatest center in Knick history. Unfortunately, he was never able to win that championship.
Is he the greatest Jamaican player in the NBA?
I forgot he was actually classified as Jamaican, but he played on the Dream Team though. So I think
but
he's
his
one of those
accent,
players. Yeah,
his Jamaican accent come through.
yeah. Okay. Kind of an underrated player. We mentioned it with Hakeem Olajuwon. This player is someone that similar to Hakeem Olajuwon just doesn't get his credit, doesn't really get a lot of notice, but he's a three-time MVP and he did win a championship. Charles Barkley credits Moses Malone to really showing him the game and helping him craft who Charles Barkley was as a player. And obviously, we know how dominant Charles Barkley was throughout his career. Moses Malone, averaged 20 points throughout his career, 12 and a half assists. And like I mentioned, he's a three-time MVP of the league, and like he still doesn't get credit. So I think that's a good pick there. Again, he's not one of those top upper echelon players, but through a mix of centers, he's definitely one that needs a bit more respect for sure.
Definitely underrated. And I think, as you mentioned, Charles Barkley, I think Moses he was the one that motivated Charles Barkley into losing some weight
Yeah,
in the beginning of his career in
yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah. Because so Charles Barkley came in, he's like, he didn't want to be drafted
Yeah,
by Philly. He's like, I'm just going to eat. I'm just going to get
yeah.
fat. And then there was another player that was there, and I feel disrespectful not remembering who it
Dr.
was.
J?
Dr. J, yeah. So Dr. J and Moses Malone were there, and they're like, nah, you got to shape up, young boy. Like, this is not how we do it in Philly. So, yeah.
I forgot who I know the guy Charles was doing the interview with, but he was telling him like, yeah, Moses like he just started bringing me down by 10 pounds. He's like, okay, let's get to like 270. He's like, okay, at 250 you're too slow. Okay, go up to
Yeah.
260. Like that's how back then they didn't have like trainers and stuff. That they basically gauged where they had to be at in a way to be able to play as best that they can.
Yeah.
And this guy tried to get big before going to NBA, and he had to start losing some weight in the rookie season.
For sure.
All right, again, we're in a weird tier of centers. I still think we're in the second tier. I would say the players I'm about to pick, I would kind of gauge them in the second tier, and then maybe after my picks, it might drop down a little bit. With my third pick,
Yep.
With my third pick, I'm going with George Mikan.
Mm.
Now, this guy, he played for the Lakers before they were the Lakers.
The Minneapolis.
Yep.
Weird.
And they don't have his number retired. I think Bill Simmons always brings this up in the discussion of the championship the Lakers have won, because say, hey, they don't even have this guy's number retired, so we shouldn't even count the Minneapolis days in the 17 versus 17 Celtics and Lakers discussion of championships. So again, I think this guy played in the 50s. He has 5 championships, 4-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, Hall of Famer, 3-time scoring champion. Incredible player, man. 5-time champion with the Lakers back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he still doesn't have his number retired with the Lakers.
Yeah, dominant player too. I had my eye on him, but I mean, you look at the amount of games played. Like, it's a good pick because you look at, how influential he was to the game of basketball as well when he played back then. He did only play 400 and some games, but like I said, the impact was great as well. Yeah.
It's like another player on this list though that I'm kind of eyeballing. His career was ended obviously prematurely due to injuries, but also could have been another great. Well, he is a great. He's a Hall of Famer, so.
True.
Yeah, it's very true.
Okay, so this might, I think this is where it starts taking a drop. I will be taking with my fourth pick, Willis Reed. 2-time champion, MVP, 2 times finals MVP, 7-time All-Star, defensive player, Knicks legend. Again, Patrick Ewing, Willis Reed, you talk about Walt Frazier. These are guys that, the Knicks players, these are icons of their team. Oh, and these are, I think that was the last time they won with Walt Frazier and Willis Reed back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think from here on out,
a little shaky.
Interesting with the picks.
Well.
He's taking Dwight.
You're taking Andre Iguodala.
I had a conversation, as I've mentioned on this podcast before. I talk in Clubhouse quite frequently, and when I was doing, my research for this, and I was building the graphics for the centers, I constantly brought up a question: where does Dwight Howard fit in your all-time greatest centers? I was like, is he a top 10 center of all time? And off the hop, a lot of people were like, no, Dwight's not top 10. He's probably top 15. And I said, okay, can you give me a list? So they go through. They did the first 5. They did the 7 that we talked about with Ewing and Malone and Admiral. And then it got tough. Around 8, 9, it got tough. And a lot of people kind of had him on that bubble, that 10, 12. I'm taking Dwight. I think as a dominant player, you look back at that 2009 team when he took the Orlando Magic to the finals. Unfortunately, he didn't win the championship that year. He did eventually, obviously, win a championship with the Lakers in a reduced role, but a very, very dominant player in his era. Fortunately, things happened throughout his career. I think a lot of it had to do with ego, but he's a 3-time defensive player of the year. That's definitely something that people shouldn't overlook. Just, how great his impact was. Superman. I'll never forget that dunk contest He
Yeah.
tossed on the cape.
Jeez.
Did he dunk from the free throw line, or was it
I think he jumped from the
more?
free throw line.
Yeah, it's
He threw it
crazy.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
threw it in. Like, he didn't actually dunk.
But like a force of nature, not as much as Shaq, but
But
one
he
of
was
those,
still
another one of those.
because didn't he come straight from high school?
I believe so, actually.
So
Yeah,
he came straight
you're
from
right.
high school because I remember the game because he was the cover athlete for NBA Ballers
Yeah,
and stuff. And looking at that, I remember seeing, I was like, yo, like, Dwight is small in this, like, skinny little toothpick arms. And after like a season, 2 seasons in the thing, you just see this man, big shoulders, big arms, like just
these.
just huge.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy
Top 5
fuck,
shoulders
like
in
the
NBA history.
strength on this guy. And it's like,
That's
yeah.
our next draft.
Top 5 shoulders.
Yeah.
in
Top
NBA
5
history.
biggest.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Dwight. Unfortunately, he had some troubles with Kobe and Steve Nash in LA.
Soft as Charmin.
Yeah, he went to Houston. He went to Atlanta. He got in some weird off court stuff a couple years ago with a girl or
Don't.
a guy. I don't know what it was, but
no.
Anyway, so I'm taking Dwight Howard with my 4th pick.
Okay.
I know you wanted him, Chris, but I saw him there. I had my eye on him, so I had to take him.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Good comeback
That
though.
was
Good
good.
comeback.
That was really
Dwight. He went through what, like
Yeah.
Wizards, and then he went to the Nets, got waived, and
For sure.
somehow the Lakers picked him up, and now he's back in the NBA.
Well, and like we said before, I think he really, when we talked about Blake Griffin going to the Nets, I think Dwight, not obviously to the level that he was obviously with the Orlando Magic organization, but I think he really revived his career in the sense of, being able to reestablish himself with the Los Angeles Lakers organization, proving himself, and then being able to go to Philadelphia, who's also a competitive team.
Yeah.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep.
True.
All right. CP, double picks.
My double picks, my last picks. All right. Well, you took my man, Howard. So
Just don't take mine.
I don't know who you want.
I got another guy on the board, and I don't take him.
All right. With my 4th pick, I will be selecting Mr.
Nice.
Kembe Mutombo.
Hey.
Man was a force, especially on the defensive end there. What is it? In his rookie season, he averaged 16.6 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. Everybody knew the finger wag. Don't bring that. Don't bring that weak shit in here, brother.
Get that out of here.
Bro. No way.
You ever seen that commercial, bro?
Yeah.
Bro, like someone's like getting cereal, and he's like, "No,
It's the guy code. Don't do that voice. Yeah, it was a Geico commercial. He's like, he gets like the garbage out of the house. Like, not today,
But yeah, this man forced to be reckoned with on the defensive ends. I'm pretty sure he led the league in blocks for 3 consecutive seasons, and he won 2 Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, won Defensive Player of the Year actually 4 times, not twice, 4 times. But again, like we always talk about, this is like another great player who unfortunately didn't win any championships. And
to the finals with AI in 2001.
Mm-hmm. And my next pick is also another pick.
Get his guy. Take his guy. Take his guy.
I don't know who his guy is, to be honest. I don't think this is his guy. This is my guy, though. Always been a fan of this man. Watching him play. The tenacity, especially, again, another big defensive player.
Valanciunas?
Ben Wallace.
Valanciunas?
Mr. Ben Wallace.
Oh, man.
Mr. Ben Wallace.
Big Ben.
Man, this guy, I remember, again, this is where some of my personal biases come in. Watching this man play. Like, this guy was like the vision, the perfect defense. It was this man. This man was doing everything you needed a center to do on the defensive end. Again, it's another player who hasn't. Oh, did he win a championship?
Yeah, he was on that. He's on that
Oh
Detroit team.
yeah.
He
When they
was
won.
vital to that. And like, sorry to like steal your thunder. I'll let you get back to
No,
it. But
no,
like
go
his
ahead.
stat lines don't point out, like don't jump out at you. But like, yeah, he
Exactly.
was huge
Because I
in
think
that
he only
Detroit
averaged
business.
like 5.7 points a game
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like he wasn't putting up big points, but again, he was doing the small, subtle things that you need to do to get your team winning and to make that impact for your team.
hmm
Yeah, it's all good and great if you can drop 30 points a night, but your team's still losing and you're not doing
yeah.
anything. So,
And bro, like the fro, I remember two things
bro,
about early like 2000s
yes,
basketball. It's AI's braids and Ben Wallace's headband with the fro. It's
yeah.
the sickest, dude. I
And
love
didn't
Ben
and didn't
Wallace.
he braid his hair for like
He
away
did
games
have.
or home games or something like that?
I don't know what
That's
One
the
of the
sick
thing
if he
two.
was,
did.
but yeah, I don't know when he did it, but I do remember him tossing in braids. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sick.
jeez. But yeah, we got
That's
Big
so
Ben.
sick if he did that.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, 4-time DPOY, 6-time defensive team,
Mhm.
and 1-time NBA champ with that. You know, that squad, that gritty squad in
Is
Detroit,
Chauncey Billups
Chauncey
there?
Billups and
Yeah.
Rip
Rep
Hamilton,
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Oh, Rip.
Rashad Wallace,
Were we talking about Rip the other day?
or sorry, Rashid.
Was that
Sorry?
us? Was that us talking about Rip
Was
the
it?
other day?
Yeah, because they dropped a commercial or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Travis Scott.
The
yeah.
Travis Scott, yeah, collab.
Man, sorry to get a little off topic, but think about back to that 2003 draft when who did Detroit take, Silash? That Russian guy, remember?
Uh, Darko Milicic.
Darko Milicic.
Mm.
They could have second overall, right?
Yeah,
They
they
could
could
have
have had.
taken Melo, bro.
Yeah.
You imagine Melo on that team?
Bro, if
Because
Melo
that
was
would have
on
been
that
the
team,
year.
they would have won. How many? They would have won more championships. It would have been
Bro,
disgusting.
it would have been
Disgusting.
Because
gross.
And you know what?
their small forward that whole time was Tarian Prince, who's decent defensive
Mm.
player, but he wasn't a scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And if Melo was able to plug into that system with Rip Hamilton and Chauncey,
Mm, mm,
different
mm,
talk.
mm,
And Melo
mm,
took that
mm, mm,
personally. Took that
mm.
Facts.
personally. But bro, that would
Yeah,
have been disgusting.
And imagine that for Melo's legacy. He won in the NCAA, he won in the college,
yeah.
and
With
come right into the
Hughes.
NBA. And the first year you win,
Yeah,
oh
that would
my
have been
God.
cool.
Different legacy, whole different legacy.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Definitely would have been sitting out for those
Still would have
seasons.
gone to New York, from Detroit.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
All right. Well, you didn't take my guy, so I'm happy.
Good.
This is a guy who, yeah, was deeper on the list, not as deep as Ben Wallace, but really happy that he's still here. Again, another physical specimen, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time NBA Defensive Team, 1-time NBA champion with the Dwayne Wade Miami Heat. I'm taking Alonzo Mourning. I
Mm.
love Alonzo Mourning.
Hey.
Yeah, I saw Bob McAdoo on there, but I've had my sights on Alonzo Mourning basically this whole time. I don't really know what else to say. I just love the impact that he brought as a vet. You think about him also in the late 90s, I guess, with the
Late
Charlotte
90s, early
Hornets.
2000s.
Like Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning there. Like, bro, that squad was sick. So, yeah, I'm pumped to get Zoe. Just
Jeez.
one of those guys that, again, a dog. They're going out there. They're not gonna, the stats aren't gonna pop out at you. He only averaged 17 points
So
during
if
his career,
we
but
ever do this drafts like this again, to screw Tobias over, all you need to do is one, look at the player and be like, is this player a dog?
yeah,
There is yes. Tobias is probably eyeing them.
probably,
And then the second question to ask yourself, is this player physically fit?
yeah.
Are they working with it? If that answer is
Hey,
also yes, Tobias.
you don't see me taking the fucking milk bag Jokic out here with his fucking milk
Maybe
bag
you should
body.
have, and your team might have a
Yeah,
championship.
And with my next pick,
yeah.
no, I'm joking.
Well, it's before I let you get into that next pick, Steve Ash,
No, go ahead. I was joking.
I did no, but I did think about. I was watching the game the other day with Denver, and I was like, I wonder what more does Nikola Jokic need to do at this point in his career to be considered in our draft? Again, it's
Mm-hmm.
our own biases and stuff because you look at his dominance, different style of play as a center, but you look at how he impacts the game today. Obviously, he's never won an MVP yet. He hasn't won a championship, but I wonder what he has to do to be in this consideration for a top 15, top 20 center of all time.
Yeah, because like like the list I'm looking at right now, some of it's like a little disrespectful. Like, you've got Joel Embiid sitting up pretty high. So what pisses me off is Joel Embiid is sitting behind Joakim Noah. I hate Joakim Noah.
Joakim
I
Noah is trash.
fucking loathe this man.
I'm a Bulls fan. I don't like Joakim.
I
Yeah,
hate the man. I hate
No.
him.
he
And
was
you're
pretty
telling
goofy.
me he's better than Joel Embiid? You'd rather him on your squad than Joel? You're fucked.
Well, I think again when you look at these lists, like you guys, like
Hmm.
picked Alonso, and Alonso to me is like deep in the list, and he's one of my favorite players. I'm so happy you took him because he's definitely like greatest moment. And before we go on, I do want to mention like the whole fight with the Knicks in the '90s
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy got what do you call it? He had to drag by Alonso's legs because they kept fighting and players kept getting ejected and suspended.
The
Like
Malice in
that,
the Palace.
Mm.
it was before that, but
Oh, okay,
it's just
okay.
like this was in the '90s, like Knicks and Heat, because
Oh,
Larry
dang.
Johnson and Alonso got into it
Okay,
because they
okay.
used to be former players, but they had beef. Like legendary moment, and this guy was part of it. Alonso is one of my favorite players.
Hmm.
But when you look at these lists, I go more about accomplishments.
Sure.
And when you bring up Jokic, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
his impact is incredible, but
He hasn't done
I
yet.
think he needs a few more years. Yeah,
Sure.
like I mean, if you look at the numbers, and I heard Brian Winters on the Hoop Collective say, don't look at the offensive numbers because everybody's having a good offensive year,
Yeah.
so you
Fair.
can't really
But
compare
but
it.
then like okay,
But
like to your point there, saying like, he could use like a couple extra years between him and let's say like again another player who's like made like this list. I'm looking like Joel. Like why would you consider Joel to be on this list when again like has Joel hasn't won a championship, hasn't done any of that stuff yet.
I think Joel has been at his peak
Hmm.
longer than Jokic has been at his peak, and maybe that's why he's favored on the list that you're looking at a bit more.
Yeah.
Because Jokic, if we look at it, really just started coming into his own, in my opinion, at least last year. That last year he was like, okay, like
Well, I don't
I'm
know. I
here, like
wouldn't
I'm one
say
of the top
last year.
five centers.
I would even say
I
before that.
disagree.
I would say before
Yeah, I
that
disagree.
A
because
year before that,
I
or how
knew
how much more?
I would say maybe yeah even maybe
Yeah,
I'll
you
put it
knew
like
about him.
this.
You knew about him, but was he a top five center?
I'll put it like this. In 2017, I was part of an NBA like basketball fantasy
Yeah.
team, and he was my number 2 pick. Because
yeah.
at the time,
I'll
he was still putting up triple
yeah.
doubles. His team wasn't in the playoffs. That was the year I think they lost to the Timberwolves in the last game of the season and missed the playoffs because it
Yeah.
was a race
Yeah, yeah,
between
okay.
the two for the 8th seed. And he was like, I think he was a top 5 center at the time. Because
Hmm.
when you think about it, in the past 5, 6 years, it's been Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Cat,
Yeah.
and then after that, maybe a Drummond.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Like
would
these
give
guys
him,
have been
yeah.
dominating. These guys have been dominating. So I do think he's been a top 5 center in the past few years, but I think he's been MVP level player in the past 2 years.
That
Yeah.
yeah, sorry,
Okay.
that's what I
Yeah.
should say. Like,
Okay.
um, and I'd be interested to see what I guess Philly hasn't really had a decorated yeah, like they've only made the playoffs the past 2 years. They made it in 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020. Obviously they'll make it again this year.
Hmm.
But they had like a 6 year, yeah, 5, 6 year gap where they didn't make the playoffs. Again, I don't
Yep.
know how many years Philly, because I know obviously there's the process thing, and they were an
Yeah.
ass
Yep.
team for a long time. Um, but I just think maybe it's just the recognition. People have known about Joel Embiid a bit more. But yeah, I definitely agree. MVP level, past 2 years.
I think the we should. I mean, maybe we can talk about this after the draft too. But the decorative career Embiid has had, he
Hmm.
won rookie. He almost won rookie of the year,
Hmm.
but he was like he took 2 years off with the injuries, and then he came back and played 30 games and put up All Star numbers.
Hmm.
Then you
But
look
I
at the
mean,
season
you played
after.
30 games though.
They didn't give it to him for rookie of the
But I'm
year.
just saying though,
So
like I feel like if you're playing 30 games and you're putting up all-star numbers, it's like also like
You're doing it in a pocket.
your averages
yeah,
are gonna be skewed, you know? It's like
absolutely similar to this season.
yeah, versus
Yeah.
like, you're playing a full 82 games or whatever you're playing, and I've averaged 10 less points than you, but I've also played 50 more games. So it's like, oh,
Hmm.
Okay.
suck my dick.
Let's finish the draft.
Yeah,
then we can
exactly.
get
I
into
thought we
the
were. I
transition
thought
mode.
we did
You're
finish.
still sitting there with one pick on the board. I mean, I think you
His
got a couple
his pick
options
don't even
here.
matter. Siavash lost this draft. You know, it's clear.
How do you mean? I got
Clearly,
Wilton
I
Hakeem. I'm
won
gonna get you out
last
of
week's
here.
draft. I've also won this week's draft.
What?
It's
Get
crazy.
out of here,
Yeah,
bro.
we
What
poll.
are you
I
talking about?
I took some polls offline, and the crowd. Yeah, the crowd said I went.
The offline.
I took it to
no
the I took it to the
stats, bro.
streets.
There's no
I
stats.
asked the streets. I was like, "Hey guys,
Yeah.
these lists of players, who would you have had?" I was like, "Take your time, take your time, take your time."
How many people did you ask?
Me, quite a bit actually.
How many?
Nah,
I'm gonna say
you didn't
more than
ask
10.
anybody.
10 players.
You
More
didn't
than
ask
10? It's not
anybody.
30.
That's 10 people.
It's not 30,
That's
so
10
it's not an
people.
actual
It's a
stat.
stat. It's a stat.
Bro, this guy's getting his tattoo. He's like, yo, which draft do you like more? And then he picks like Seabash spot. Listen, man, if you want an extra like $100 tip, you
okay.
better
bro.
take this squad here.
This fucking guy. Okay.
As he's about to pay the bill, he actually pays the exact amount, and he's like, if you would have picked my team.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then the tattoo art. I'm just gonna troll you for a bit here, Chris. But
Yeah,
the
go
tattoo
ahead.
artist goes and scrolls down the page a bit more, and he's looking at the shooting guard draft. He goes, "Who the fuck took Jamal Crawford?"
And I'd be like, I took Jamal
DeMar?
Crawford. And you know
DeMar
what?
DeRozan?
You know what? Hey, I made a damn good case for DeMar DeRozan. Okay? What the fuck
Does
is
he
wrong
play
with
for your
DeMar
team?
DeRozan? Yeah, but I mean, DeMar DeRozan is also a phenomenal player too as well. Like that little stat about him, LeBron James, and who the fuck was the third other player?
Russell Westbrook.
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 Only player since 2010 to score
Yeah, that's a great trivia.
4,000 points. Again, so you can suck dick from the back, Siavash.
Hey, whoa.
Okay, Seabash, finish it off with your last.
With my
pick
last
here.
pick. I've been on the clock for 30 minutes now.
Yeah, pick expired.
Yeah, no. Okay, I do want to mention there's a lot of names on the board for me. I do want to mention Robert Parrish,
Zaza Pachulia,
Horace Gilmore, Bulls legend, Dave Cohen's. But it comes down to two names for me. It's between Wes Unseld, Bullets legend, and Bill Walton. And I'm gonna go with Bill Walton.
No, you're not.
Why?
Overrated.
No, he's not.
Great collegiate player. Overrated NBA player.
He was one of the earlier players. Like when we talk about Jokic, somebody like Sabonis and Bill Walton were one of the earlier players, like centers, big men who could dish the ball.
Fair. Yeah, when he was with Portland, he was pretty badass.
And he won the MVP when he got like injured halfway through the season, but they still gave it to him because they're like, dude, look at the season this guy's having. He's an incredible player. I'm sorry, I got to put up his stats.
Yeah, you had a lot of guys on the board here that you had great options for sure. I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but
I mean, he won the Finals MVP in '76 and won the MVP in '77. Again, this guy got injured, so his career wasn't the same, but he was still a great influence. And I think again, we got to mention guys like Sabonis and Bill Walton as the guys that created the way for somebody like Jokic to average like 9 point whatever assists in an MVP level season. I mean, incredible player. And again, there's a lot of names on the board, but I'm gonna have to go with Bill Walton for now.
Not to bring it all the time always back to Clubhouse, but I was on Clubhouse the other day and we were talking about
you sponsored by Clubhouse?
Yeah, I wish, bro. I wish. But different stories around the NBA, not directly, well, I guess kind of with Bill Walton, but more indirectly. These people they grew up with certain players that were in the NBA and around the NBA. And this one girl grew up with Luke Walton, Bill Walton's son, who played for the Lakers, had a little stint there with Kobe. Obviously, had a little bit of time in Golden State Warriors, coached the Lakers for a bit, and is now in Sacramento. They said, and I don't even know why they mentioned that like race, but they're like, this white dude is like the heaviest like cannabis, like marijuana smoker they've ever seen. This guy puts back like pounds, dude. They were saying like during like the NBA, like when he was coaching, like he was high as fuck, and like other guys that were on the call, they're like, that makes a lot of sense now. He was making some stupid calls that makes a lot of sense. But can you imagine? Like, and all I thought about was like, can you imagine being the interim coach for the Golden State Warriors that year that he was there? And you're just like,
and they won like 40 games.
Yeah.
when they were like the number one seed when he was the interim coach and Steve Kerr was out.
Just like ripped out of his mind watching the Golden State Warriors play. Like, man.
Well,
that'd
I
be
mean,
crazy.
that's a team you can just
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
on
put on
autopilot,
autopilot.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, smoke whatever you're gonna smoke.
And I didn't know what you were gonna say. Like as you were mentioning him, I was gonna say like, dude, Bill Walton is literally a weed head.
Yeah, he's a
If you
hippie,
ever
bro.
listen to him on if you ever listen to him on a broadcast, or there's videos of him literally going around in nature and hugging trees and be like, "This is my friend." Like this guy's a weed head, bro. I love this guy. I can relate to this guy.
Low key, I feel like that's what Chris does when we're not watching. Just like goes around and hugs trees.
Man, like you and all my friends think like I'm into like some weird shit. They'd be like, man,
You are,
I wonder
bro.
what Chris does when he's by himself. Like he's probably at home just doing like playing with the cats or doing fucked up. Bro, it's like I just do normal shit that anybody else would do. I'm on my couch.
What is
I'm
that?
watching
Well, you got this
Netflix. I'm
reputation.
doing laundry. Like I'm doing like I know I'm an idiot.
Laundry don't take 6 hours.
And
my
like
guy.
I know I'm a riot to be around, and I elevate the level of any social gathering like I'm a part of. But it's
That's true.
like,
That's
bro, I just do normal shit at home. Like, I'm a normal dude.
Nah, bro, your Snapchats be just funny. You be just laying down on the couch like this, just like filming your cats.
Yeah, because I'll just be sitting down, I'll look over. I'm like any pet owner. They look over and you
That's
see their pet doing something that's like, semi cute. You're like, look at this guy. Or
Gotta
doing
post this
something,
all
be
up.
like, yo, what the fuck is this guy doing right now? Like, come on.
That's true.
If Tobias had a golden
Yeah.
retriever, you're telling me this
Oh,
would be
it's
sending
over.
videos
yeah.
all day from sun up to sunset.
It's over. I mean, it would be like
dog
rolling
would
in the
just-
mud.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
basically a walking golden retriever yourself.
That you know what? That's probably why I look for the dog mentality in a player
Exactly. That's what
because I am a
it's
walking
related to
golden
your
retriever.
dog yourself.
Is that why you took Airbud? Because that was the worst pick.
You
in any
know it,
draft
bro.
we've
That
done.
was the bro. Nah, golden retrievers.
That might be the Jamal Crawford of the picks in
Probably
the
right.
movies.
You're probably
And
right.
as
You're
most
probably right.
people didn't realize, our Tobias was in fact a hound dog.
Go,
So-
bro. Go.
What the hell is that pick?
Goat level, bro. That's me, Elvis Presley. Back to back.
Back to
mini
back.
champion.
Man, it's
You
did
it's the
not post
sunglasses. Like
Bro,
look
fun
at that,
fact.
bro.
So fun fact, I like
Oh
Elvis
my
Presley was like my
God.
biggest idol growing up.
Mm.
Elvis Presley, and so in Bravo, like the city over from the hometown that I grew up in, they had like a Elvis mini me competition, and so I was like, "You damn right." So my mom like got her friend to like put together this like bejeweled fucking jumpsuit, and like yeah, I went all out. Back to back Elvis mini me champion. They stopped doing it after I won twice. So
Wow.
basically, they had
That's
to
the
retire.
widest-
This
I'm
guy.
like the GOAT.
That's the widest shit I've heard today. What kind of country 1990 shit is this?
Just
You
like
want to be Elvis? Let's see.
A bunch of white people standing around in a park just watching this little kid pretend to be Elvis. Yeah. That's okay. GOAT.
God.
That's a
Um,
good story. I love that story.
Yeah, so that's the conclusion of our center draft. We've run through all 5 positions. Pretty happy with my center draft. I got Shaq, Bill Russell, Moses Malone, Dwight Howard, and Alonzo Mourning.
I myself mangled.
Mangled. Mangled.
I wanted to say managed to wrangle up, but the brain just said, let's combine
Just
words.
woo.
Yeah.
Let's mush them together. I managed to grab myself Kareem, David, Robertson, Patrick Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, and Big Ben Wallace.
That's a pretty good squad.
It's pretty good. Good names. Good names. Recognizable names.
Fair.
He shit, huh?
I got.
Sorry, Cat's back there. He's defacing the cloth sweater because he knows the guy's a sellout.
Okay. So I got Wilt. I got Will Chamberlain, Hakeem Olajuwon. I got myself George Mikan, Willis.
George
Reed,
Michael, yes.
and Mikan. Hey, bro, you gotta turn your headphones up, bro. That's a Mikan. And I got Bill Walton.
So,
Pretty good. I like that one.
yeah, squad. I'm honestly,
All right.
it goes probably C third, Tobias second,
Don't put me. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. How am I third?
Bro, this guy loves to troll. I
It's
swear.
like the troll, but realistically though, you're probably second. Tobias said I'm first. So, but yeah,
I'm not. I mean, the Dwight pick.
the Dwight
I
pick
would have
lowered
put
him a
them.
little bit. There's other
I
players.
got him
A
at
little bit.
4.
You could have had him at 7,
Yeah,
bro.
Nah, bro.
There's
This
some
guy
other.
was so horny for Dwight, bro. I was not getting him at 7.
I
Have you
actually
seen his
probably
picks?
wasn't gonna draft Dwight. I got you.
Sure.
I played the game, and
Nah. I was looking at him,
That's
so it's all good, bro.
obviously you're looking at him.
that's
He's a
how.
big guy with big arms. What?
All right. So with that draft being done, Siavash, I know you wanted to take a look at some of the potential playoff matchups now that we're only a few weeks away. So yeah, break down this next segment for us.
So we are what 2-3 weeks away. I
think
think the
so.
playing's happening around May 18th, May
Mhm.
22nd,
Mhm.
around that time.
Mhm.
So after the seedings are set, we're gonna have some interesting matchups. Right now, the seeding is kind of all over the place. With the Lakers at 7, the Clippers at 4. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting time in the NBA. So I just want to bring up some matchups. Again, we're not gonna just look at what the matchups are right now. We can just play around with the seeding, predict if a team is gonna go a little higher or a little lower, and we're just gonna have some interesting talks about matchups. The first one, I'm gonna talk about. What do you want to say,
Let me
Tobias?
just say something real quick because I know you just slid that like and the Clippers at 4. I do want to let you know that the
What?
Clippers are at 4, but they have clinched a playoff spot where the Nuggets are at 3 and they have not because they are a game behind. So just let you
Honestly, it wasn't a diss.
know.
It wasn't. I didn't try to slip something
No,
in there.
no,
I
no.
literally was just saying like they're
Hey,
at
bro, don't
4.
slip
Like I
anything
actually
in over here. What the hell?
pause, but I just didn't like. It wasn't nothing like I was like, oh, let me diss this guy
No,
a
no,
little
I
bit.
know, I know.
The disses are coming. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. What do you got? What are you looking at here?
The first one. I'm looking at the first one. I think this is gonna be super interesting, in my opinion, at least. The Bucks versus the Heat. Right now, that is the matchup. If they go in the playoffs today, the Bucks are at 3rd and the Heat are at 6. I think this is super interesting because of last year. You look at last year, the Bucks were beat by the Heat. I think 4-1. I would have said a sweep, but in the 4th game, the Bucks actually somehow pulled the game at the end of the game. And I'm just saying this is a good matchup. It's an interesting back and forth. What do you guys think about this matchup? Because the Bucks have improved and the Heat haven't been as good, and they've had some interesting additions. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think if it was the same squad that Milwaukee rolled out last year, this year, I would take the Heat. I would take the Heat to win. I really like the addition of Drew Holiday. I think that gives them some extra perimeter defense, so I enjoy that. Obviously, Chris's guy, Chris Middleton, is on that
That's
squad
the
as
Avengers
well.
guy.
Nah, you love Chris
I'll
Middleton.
claim him.
No,
I don't
I'm a
know.
Giannis
You
I'll
love
fan.
claim
Chris.
him. I don't care.
I'm a Giannis
Nah,
guy. I'm a greed
don't you
freak.
always say Chris Middleton to troll? See that?
Only just to troll Siavash. That's it.
Exactly. So that's your guy.
I'm not horny for the
But yeah,
guy. I'm not like you and fucking.
but like I think I think Milwaukee is gonna win that one.
Yeah.
That like I think Jimmy is, he's a good player. I don't know if they can repeat what they did last year, especially seeing two teams up at the top of the conference there in Philadelphia and the Nets. So yeah, I would probably take the Bucks to win that one.
My view is the same. I would also take the Bucks to win that. Just looking at the two squads like right now, and like the Bucks haven't really like changed up like too much. I still think that the Bucks would dominate the Heat in the long run. And the Heat would definitely win some games.
Yeah, it's not sweet.
But I think the Bucks will hold a commanding lead. And if the Heat manage to like steal a game, it'd be like it was a close game. It's like a point or two difference.
I'd say Bucks in 6.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say Bucks in 6.
I like 6. I don't like saying if the Heat can manage to steal a game because again the Bucks haven't. Again, Drew Holiday, great addition, better than Eric Bledsoe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I would definitely take him over that. But you still got a guy in Giannis.
Yeah.
Who the blueprint has been set by the Raptors from 2 years ago. You just try to help on this guy every time he drives, and you just let the other guys carry the game. And we've seen in the playoffs those other guys haven't been that big of a piece. Maybe Drew Holiday is that guy, but I still, I think it might go to 7 for me.
I
And
couldn't see that going all the way to 7.
I mean, and one other thing I did want to mention, I read somewhere else. Around the time they got Drew Holiday, there was rumors, and again, Chris Paul was still on OKC. There were rumors if they could get Chris Paul, what that team could have looked like. And looking at where the Suns are, and I think they're the first seed right now.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had Chris Paul on that team.
If they got Chris Paul, that team would be fucking scary.
Yeah, and Drew is an incredible defensive player, but I think when you go into the playoffs, you might need another guy that needs to create outside of Giannis.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Bucks too much, but when I just think of the Bucks, I think I want shooters around Giannis. I don't trust Giannis reliable enough from the outside. So I'd be looking at some dead eyes from 3, but yeah, Chris Paul, that squad would be gross, dude.
Let's just get into the next team. It was Clippers versus Lakers. The Clippers are the 4th seed right now. Lakers are 7th. Tobias, you're our resident Clippers fan here. What would you think if you had to go up against the Lakers in the first round after what happened last year when we missed out on that matchup in the conference finals because of Paul George's antics and all the blames you guys put on Doc Rivers, but they lost on a 3-1 lead. So tell us, what would you think if you had to go up against the Lakers in the first round?
Honestly, I would like it, to be honest with you. This is something that a lot of NBA fans have been starved for 2 years. Yeah, I know we all want it to be in that Western Conference. We want it to be the Battle of LA to see who's the best in the West to go to the finals. But I want to at least get that matchup. So if it comes in the first round, if it comes in the second round, I'll take it wherever I can get it. I definitely want to see that. I want to see that matchup. King James versus the Claw. Go back to that, like we mentioned before, that Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs duel. I want to see LeBron at the free throw line cussing because he sees Kawhi get checked
in. That's a great clip. I love that thing.
Yeah.
And you said King James versus the Claw, Paul George versus Paul George.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting, man. I know injuries happened and whatnot, but I mean, like Kawhi was out for a couple of games. Well, most of April actually, Kawhi was out, and they were able to still kind of stay afloat among the top of the West. But unfortunately, with LeBron out, AD was swimming by himself. He wasn't. I think he really kind of got highlighted that maybe he can't be that guy right now. Maybe he can't be that guy that can be the number 1 leader on the team. I'm not saying it will never happen, but I think they definitely need LeBron. And unfortunately, LeBron, I never want to wish this on anybody, but unfortunately, LeBron did say that he doesn't feel like he's back at 100%. His high ankle sprain, and that is something that definitely harms a player at any point in their career, but especially when you're 36 years old. So hopefully, he can give us at least like 80, 90% of LeBron, because that would be a good matchup.
Marc Gasol on the Lakers?
What's that?
Is Marc Gasol on the Lakers?
Yeah.
Like the 12th man.
The 5th center off the bench.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
He was there last year, too.
No, it wasn't.
Again, didn't even realize that. It's weird. That's because I guess every time I look, I don't see him. Like when I'm watching. Because I haven't watched a full Lakers game. Start to finish. In a while, actually.
Oh shit, you're right. Marc Gasol was not there. What the fuck am I thinking?
I was
thinking that he went back to back. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch them right now because LeBron just came back, but before that, literally their lineups were nobody. And the center rotation is Drummond, Montrezl Harrell, and then you got Marc Gasol. Now AD's back. It's a difficult thing.
That's the thing. I know a lot of people were excited for Drummond to go to the Lakers, for Drummond to be a free agent. And if you remember, I wasn't even really on board to having him join the Clippers. I wanted Gorgui Dieng. We didn't get Gorgui Dieng. I don't think he fits well in that Lakers roster. He's not able to kind of be the Andre Drummond that he is as a player. I think he's in a different role, which is uncomfortable for him, and you're kind of seeing that on some games. Montrezl Harrell, They did not get the Montrezl Harrell that they expected, I believe, that they signed him for, coming from the Clippers. So yeah, like you mentioned, that center rotation is a little janky, and AD has proven and has said in his career that he doesn't want to play the five. He wants to be a four. That's what he wants to be known as. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Well, I don't know. I think too you could also like these Lakers won last year, but then it's like, you've have some like new additions, you've lost some players like here and there, and I think it all just comes down to like chemistry. And so like you said, Drummond's still new. Like he's not playing like the role he might have typically played like on other teams. Like not hasn't isn't playing the role he would have played like in Detroit or where like Cleveland and shit like that. But then on those teams, Drummond was the guy. He was expected to be the guy. He was expected, the points, the boards, all that. He doesn't need to do that now. Well, you've got like
He should be there being that defensive presence and getting
he
boards
should
though.
yes he very well he should be and stuff. But then again, it's about fitting into like a new system, a new rotation, stuff like that. And you're also coming in like late, so like it's hard to make those adjustments when the season's basically done.
Especially in a season like this where they don't get to have as many practices. I think there was a report that went
Fair.
out a few days ago that the Lakers had like less than 10 practices all year. And when you have these new additions, and even like new addition at the start of the year, what you do is you build up throughout the year to the playoffs with these practices to be able to build that chemistry, find guys as comfortable spots. Like Drummond, as you guys said, is probably the guy that wants to post up. He wants to be able to have the ball and do what he wants to create his own shot. But right now, they want him to play like Dwight and JaVale last year. Just be in that dunker spot, let AD cook. If he misses, get the rebound. You got to run pick and roll. And I think he's going to be great for that. I would run him at that position if I could, but I don't know how comfortable he is now. But again, he has had only 2 games with LeBron, so maybe we might have to just watch and see.
Yeah, and the heartbreaker is they could have made that trade for Kyle Lowry after seeing Kyle Lowry cook on them last night. They could have traded away Taylor Horton-Tucker, but they were like, no, we want to keep Taylor Horton, and I get it. And maybe they want to build something towards the future. But if you are in a win now mode and you have that aging LeBron James, if that trade is on the table, which it was, they just weren't willing to give up Taylor Horton-Tucker. That might look to be not that great of a missed trade.
While we're on the Clippers, Tobias and even Chris, I could ask you, what would you guys think is going to happen to the Clippers if they get kicked out the first round after doing all those things?
I think if the Clippers blow it again, I think there's definitely going to be a bomb that's going to be going off.
Yeah.
Organization, and I wouldn't put it past them to be like, fuck it. We're trading. They're either going to trade a bunch of players and just say, we're going to either go big this year, fuck it, we are spending all of our money on, we are winning a chip this year, I do not care. Or they'll just, I don't know, maybe they'll blow it up and just try and start again.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting conversation, that's for sure. Like, they've got a couple young guys that I do like, most notably Terrence Mann. Luke Kennard's not really young, he's like 25, 26, but still younger. So they do have pieces. I don't know. It'll be interesting, bro, to be honest with you. Like you mentioned off the podcast, Steve Ballmer doesn't really seem like a patient guy. He seems like a very, he's trying to progress the Clippers organization, which he has done very well. They're building a new stadium as well in Inglewood, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I know Kawhi hasn't signed yet, and a lot of people around the league do believe that Kawhi is going to re-sign with the Clippers. But I've also heard things about him potentially going to Philly to be back with Doc. I've heard potential about him going to Miami. So again, those are nothing that are reported. Those are just like speculation. For the most part, what I've heard is he's going to re-sign with the Clippers. But if they get out in the first round, does he really want to do that? So,
if you're the Clippers, would you? Sorry, I just take a pause. Would you not look past trading Paul George?
I don't know. It depends on what's on the table. Because you also have to think about the optics too, from the fan base as well. It's like, okay, and what I think a lot of people forget is that yes, they made a trade of Shea and a bunch of picks to get Paul George, but they made that trade to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They weren't getting Kawhi if they didn't make that trade. So yes, while they only got Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder, it was essentially a package deal. I would have to look and see who's on the table because he is signed. He did sign his extension already, so potentially. It depends on how it goes down. Maybe Paul George is going off. Maybe he's an animal. Maybe it's Kawhi that's the issue. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see how Rondo does because playoff Rondo, he's a different animal, man. So it'd be interesting for sure. Their matchup, I think, will be very important in this first round.
It's super interesting. You said you had another matchup for us?
Yeah, I'm looking at one that's actually in the play-in tournament. One I'm excited for that I think will happen. They're just on the outskirts right now. I would love to see the Pelicans go against the Grizzlies. See Ja versus Zion. That'd be a sick matchup. I'd probably be rooting for the Pelicans in that one. A couple Duke boys on there with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. I'd be interested to see that. Obviously, Zion's that marquee guy. People want to see him in the playoffs, so that'd be an interesting match to watch for. And then over in the East, I just want to see the how right now, if you look at the standings, they would face each other. The Knicks and the Hawks. I want to see them go, and I want to see what happens with those two because, yeah, I don't. They weren't. Neither of them were playoff teams last year,
Yeah.
but they're able to kind of secure a playoff spot right now, and I don't know who we go through, but I don't think either one would go past the second round. But it'd be interesting to see.
Especially if you look at the seeding. I think the Nets are the second seed now with their loss last night. But if they are to be the first seed, I wouldn't pick the Knicks or the Hawks to go over Nets. I think those
No,
teams.
God, no. God, no. I've also got, a little bit of money at the start of the season. I got a little bit of money on the Nets. So if the Clippers do lose, let's go Brooklyn. Let's go Brooklyn.
What about your team, the Hornets? They're the 7th seed or the 8th seed right
Man,
now.
the
LaMelo's
Hornets. Yeah, LaMelo, my guy. He's back. I would love to see them make playoffs. That'd be pretty sick. Right now they're in that play-in tournament with the Celtics. The Celtics
weird,
are on
yeah.
this weird, I don't know, man. I hope, because I do have some love for the Celtics again. Speaking of Duke, Jason Tatum. I got love for some players on there, and I want to see them do well. I think they are a good squad. They've just had a really weird year. I know they've had some COVID issues as well, but yeah, if they get in the play-in tournament and they get knocked out, bro, can you imagine the standings that are what they are right now? The Celtics and the Lakers get eliminated in the play-in tournament.
Oh my God,
Bro, that'd be crazy.
I do not want to see that.
We'll
But
talk
I
about
feel
the
like
matchup that you mentioned, Sivash,
Whoa.
in the play-in tournament.
I mean, if you look at, you know what, man? Something interesting about that, the 7 and 8 seed in the East right now, the Celtics versus the Hornets. I would want to see that just because of the revenge games. You got Kemba on the Celtics, and then you got
True.
Scary Terry and
Scary
Gordon
Terry.
Hayward on. I mean, Gordon Hayward I think is out, so maybe that might not happen. But you look at those matchups, these guys are gonna look for blood because they want to just show each other like, hey, I'm doing better. This is like when you go like this. I mean, this might be a weird example. When you go on a double date with your ex, it's like, dude, like you keep trying to show like, hey, I'm doing better. Come on, like this is a crazy matchup. I want to see this.
Bro, I would never go on a double date with my ex. What
I
the
know
hell?
this was a weird example.
Not
I would
doing
never
that.
do that
yeah, I
either.
was gonna say I would say maybe if you just it wouldn't have to be a double date, but maybe if you just ran into your ex and the whole how are you? I'm good.
Better
Start
than
lying. You start bringing
Yeah.
up shit like, oh, I just got a job at this big company, like as a janitor, but you don't say that.
Yeah, exactly. My
Yeah, or
Porsche is in the
maybe
garage right now.
yeah, maybe you started an internship at NASA, so
Yeah,
that's why
I
you're
work at
looking.
NASA.
Yeah.
So your uncle's pretty high up there, isn't he, Tobias? Something
He
like that?
is, yeah. My uncle
He
works
sends
at
him
NASA.
face masks.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
ask the clerk at the local convenience store here in Oshawa. I'll
Poor
never
guy.
forget that, bro.
Poor guy.
Never forget that.
We'll leave it this way.
Chris, talk about any matchups that you got an eye on here.
You guys have pretty much like already covered like most of them, yeah, because I'd be actually excited to see the Hornets play. Hopefully, like, actually, I'd be, I don't know, it'd be fun to watch them play like the Nets, just to like kind of see how that would be. So obviously they'd have to win in like the play-in tournament. I guess what they'd be playing Boston, and they'd have to beat Boston, right? They would take 7th seed.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. So that'd be sick to see, and just because like I'd want to see like LaMelo do his thing, go up against Kyrie, cook his ass.
No way. No, don't do this.
There's a no way. No fucking way.
And going back to last week's conversation, I would love to see the Wizards get the 8th seed and face up against the Nets. And I think
Talk
that
about those
would be
revenge games.
the what games?
Talking about those revenge games.
Oh, okay. I thought you said French. I was like, what the hell?
No.
Yeah, the revenge games. I think that would be interesting. We talked about it last week, and I think it's pretty clear the Wizards are going to make it to the playing tournament.
And
so.
honestly, I know you guys are both talking about seeing the Clippers play the Lakers, but I'd actually kind of want to see the Lakers play the Suns.
That would be cool.
Oh, that'd be
And I
good.
want to see like how CP would handle playing up against LeBron, because like they're boys and stuff like that. But then for now your Lakers, like you're the last seed, you're number 8, and you're playing the Suns, who have sneakily become, what, are they not the best team like right now in the NBA?
They are the best team in the NBA. Yeah.
So, bro, that would be sick.
That would be sick just off of.
I'd love to see that, and then you can have Ja play the Jazz. And,
I don't know if Ja's gonna make it, but I think the first one. I think the first one is interesting because of the center position with the Suns.
Mhm.
I don't know if DeAndre Ayton's ready to handle AD or Drummond. This guy's a good player, but I don't think he's ready for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's definitely come into his own this year. When I look at that Suns team, and a lot of people overlook him, the person I look at the most is Mikal Bridges,
Good player.
or Cam Johnson. And like, dude, those boys can score. Like, they're giving you buckets. Like, that's a third and fourth option for you. DeAndre Ayton doesn't even need to put up points. You can just be that clog in the lane. I don't know if the Lakers have scoring in numbers like that.
I don't
Like,
know.
of course, you got Braun, of course, you got AD, and those are two big factors. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But
it's
in
like
terms of
other
depth,
players can be like streaky. Like Kuzma can go off for,
yeah,
but again, Kuzma's very streaky. So can Caruso. But I think like you have more solid scores, more reliable scores in the Suns roster than you do like looking at the Lakers, because it's like, Schroeder could get hot, Kuzma could get hot, Caruso could get hot.
I mean, look, man. When you look at that
And
Suns, you talk about Mikal Bridges and those guys. These are young boys. They don't know what the playoff matchup is going to be. With the playoffs, you can plan, like you can have game plans against these guys. These guys have never made it to the playoffs. I would say, hey man, if I had to put a bet on it, I would say Mikal Bridges is not averaging over 10 points a game in the playoffs.
You want to make that bet?
I'll make that bet right now.
Okay, 5?
5, yeah, 5 is good.
So is it like you're saying he's not scoring over 10 if they're playing?
I'm saying he's not going to average.
Like period.
I'm going to say Lakers, because I think other teams, like if the Grizzlies make it, I don't know, bro. Grizzlies.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I think like you said, like they are inexperienced and stuff like that. But then I think, again, yes, I want to physically watch LeBron and CP3 go at it, but I also want to see their their on the floor leadership and how, because obviously both players do a great job at elevating their team. Like Chris Paul has taken the reins for the Phoenix Suns and have made them like that formidable team. LeBron James does it with pretty much any team he goes. Kind of takes the reins and says, "This is how we're gonna do things. You're slumming here. Do this. Make yourself a little bit better. and I think
It's
it
that
would come down to who is, I don't want to say managing their team better, but who is like working with what they have better.
It would be like a
it's that
four.
veteranship.
Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, no, it's that veteranship, and I think there's a few players on the Suns that have that. Like, I look at another guy that people don't really,
Shea
maybe they don't even
Crowder.
know that he's on there. Yeah, Jay Crowder, bro. Like, this guy's got some heavy playoff experience. So,
It's
and
true.
he played on a team with LeBron. So he knows what he's about, and he's a great lockdown defender as well, and he can shoot from three. So, yeah, I would really like that matchup. Actually, I want the Suns and the Lakers.
That CP
There you
LeBron matchup is going to be like a 4-dimensional chess match, bro. It's just going to be
Oh,
constant.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're just going to lead players on and off like the court. Like, hey, man, just go stand over there, get the mismatches. It's going to be incredible. I would love to see that.
Even like Dario Saric, like I heard someone the other day saying, who's on like a actual like ESPN or something like that. They were saying that they have Dario Saric as like one of their leaders for Sixth Man of the Year. They kind of agree that Jordan Clarkson is probably the winner, but Dario Saric has put in work with Phoenix, so he's another person that's a big, can stretch the floor and make an impact. Still a young player, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
I now that you mention it, Chris, I would really like to see that matchup.
See, there you go.
We're probably gonna. Should we mention that we're gonna be taking a break next week?
Yeah, for sure.
So, everybody, we're gonna be taking a break next week. That's
Maybe a little more enthusiastic.
Here's why, but I did want to mention, we can probably, Tobias can talk about it a little bit more, but I did want to say when we come back, it's going to be towards the end of the season. Maybe we talk about the playing tournament around that time, but then after, I think we're going to have a good episode about our picks at the end of the year with the awards and the all NBA teams. And Tobias, we haven't talked about this, but I was just thinking about this. We might have to apologize to Chris about one of his picks because it's. I mean, the guy might not win it, but it's kind of close. We're gonna talk about.
Who is this?
I'm not gonna say it, but
Okay.
But when we get to it, I'm just gonna give you a.
Wow, say it. Say it right now. Say it right now.
He's not gonna win it, so I'm gonna say it.
No, okay.
Chris Boucher has a good case for most improved, bro.
That's my friend. My friend's name is Chris Boucher.
It's when Chris said this at the start of the year, we laughed him out the room, but
yeah, you did. You both did.
The guy has a good case. Like, I mean, he's not gonna win it, but he has he's in top. His name's being mentioned a lot.
Yeah,
and I haven't watched Raptors game because I really don't care for that team, but he seems to be playing pretty well.
Yeah, this guy would rather watch a dying bull struggle.
I don't even watch them either. Oh, fuck that team. All right,
I know you gave up on your team.
Yeah, for this year, Tobias.
What?
I think he was telling you to wrap it up.
If you want to do Tobe's picks, if you want to tell the listeners about next week.
How was last week's Tobe's picks?
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie, you did not start off strong.
So yeah, we'll get into Tobe's picks. This will actually be the last Tobe's picks for the 2020-2021 season. Because I don't know if we've added this yet, but next episode will be the 18th that you'll see it. So we'll be recording the 17th. That will be right before the play-in tournament. And once it gets in the playoffs, I'm not going to do Tobe's picks because they are going to be more back-to-back, just dependent on the matchups. So last week, like we mentioned at the start of the podcast, a lot of great matchups. This was probably, the best week I've seen in the NBA. And it's, just the timing so far this year for matchups. A lot of great matchups happened. The Clippers did lose to the Denver Nuggets. And you know what? I'm going to bring it up after I say my picks because I have a question. I have a qualm about one certain player that played in that matchup that I think is widely hated in the league. So the Clippers lost to the Denver Nuggets.
That wasn't the pick.
Yeah, it did.
The pick was the Suns and the Clippers on the Wednesday. And the Clippers did lose to the Suns, but that was the first pick.
Oh,
sorry
what was
to interrupt
the
you.
second pick? No, it's all good.
The second pick was the Suns over the Jazz, and the third pick was the Nets over the Bucks.
So there you go. Steve Ash has it up there. The Clippers over the Suns. Clippers lost to the Suns. The Suns did end up beating the Jazz, but unfortunately, that bout between the Nets and the Bucks did not end in my favor. I still want to mention that Denver game. DeMarcus Cousins has to be wildly the most hated player in the league. There were some very, very, very shoddy calls. And I'm not just saying this as a Clippers fan, because I was in a room with a bunch of other NBA fans, and they noticed it as well. There were some shoddy calls going against DeMarcus Cousins, and then the exact same thing happened on the other end of the floor, where Jokic went to go block. He ran into DeMarcus Cousins, fouled him. DeMarcus Cousins made the three, and so he should have went to the line. No call. It's an inbound ball. So they didn't get the three. Eventually, DeMarcus did make another three, but widely has to be the most hated player in the league, DeMarcus Cousins. Remember back in the Sacramento games, he was always getting technical fouls. He was always getting kicked out of the game. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are certain players that for some reason the league just hates on them. They
Like,
just
why, bro? Like,
Yeah.
you know what? You know who I'm starting to see it from now? Luka.
Yeah.
Luka's gotten 16 technicals this year.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like you feel like the officiators should be the only people that will 110% remain neutral. But you can clearly see there are certain refs and things who do have their biases to certain players and may allow other players to get away with some things, but then call other players for the exact
Like the
same
female ref with Luca.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
thing. Who was it? Oh, I think it was you. I was watching the game with the female ref, and man, I love the female refs. I like they're sick, but at the same time, it's like, man, like I know they have it hard. Like some games, like she made a tough.
Pause.
I don't remember what game we were watching, but I know she made a tough call, and I swear to I know for a fact the person was probably like, fucking bitch, and just like why? Like I know what happens there. They must at least 10 times a game, and like. Bro,
Well, they can't hand out technicals.
I'd be throwing up text left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know they're doing it.
Yeah. Tobias is trying to get his picks off, so.
Yes, fam.
Get
So-
your picks off.
Going into this week, I've got my second squad, the Charlotte Hornets, on Thursday the 6th, taking on the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, that's an
Hornets
easy
still
dub.
they're still trying to make that imprint and make sure they solidify a playoff spot or at least stay in that play-in tournament bracket. So I'm taking the Hornets in that one. We move to the next day, Friday, May 7th. What was my pick here? I didn't write them down this time. Oh yeah, I've got the Suns over the Knicks. Again, the Suns are a very, very dominant team right now. While the Knicks are still being competitive, I don't think that they can match up to that offense that the Suns provide. And then on Saturday, I'm going with the Grizzlies and Raptors.
Oh,
matchup.
man.
Oh, shit.
What-
Okay.
What'd you want? What'd you want me to take?
I'm looking at the Nets and the Nuggets on Saturday.
Okay, well, I'll give you an additional pick just because it's the last
We're
hope.
getting 4 picks.
I'll give you an additional pick. I'll take the Nets over the Nuggets.
Hey.
That's
Okay.
that marquee matchup. But I'm taking the Grizzlies over the Raptors.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, again, the Grizzlies are trying to, you're at the end of the season here. You're trying to make sure you land that final spot. You're trying to make sure you slide into that play-in tournament. I'm going to take the Grizzlies because the Raptors are essentially out. The Grizzlies are just on that border.
Like your
Yeah.
picks. Good picks, man.
They might show out, so we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the Raptors are a team that never say die. So,
Yeah.
they might just say, I don't really care if we're going to
They're not like the Bulls or Bulls fans just roll over and die at the end of the season because
You guys won 2 years ago. We're done with the picks, so I'm just going to say
Yeah,
this.
bro, we're not nah, bro, I'm not even. I feel like I'm at the same place with Vash about the Raptors and their championship.
Get out of
Like,
here.
this is the thing, right? Like, last week we had this discussion, and, you guys kept bringing up, like, your teams.
Hey,
So,
I'm just gonna say.
Can you not come?
people are
Yeah,
getting-
the
people are
I'm
Clippers
talking.
have never
No,
even
I'm
won
talking.
the
People,
I'm-
people,
you
people
cut
are
me
gonna
off like
bring up
last
things.
week. Let me
Just-
talk.
Just like,
This is a
just
heated
like
discussion.
No,
This is
just
heated.
Like Siavash
We're
loves
all-
bringing up the fact that like those championships do not count for Kevin
I never
Durant.
said that.
You won them with the Golden State Warriors.
I never said that, but you're not hearing my point, though. My point with
Let me go
the
back
with
and
the
listen to your
championship.
pitch.
Here's my point with the championship, though. Like, look at the Clippers. The Clippers have
I'm looking
been
at them.
in the
looking at
playoffs. Well,
Yeah.
don't cut me off, sir. Clippers are in the playoffs since what?
Uh-huh.
2012, 2013, Tobias?
Around there.
They
Yeah.
haven't missed the playoffs, I think, for what? Like now 8 years? The
Right.
Raptors, they have been in the playoffs. They've been a top 3 seed for the past 7, 8 years. They have won a championship. Again, I'm not discrediting that championship, but I'm saying they won a championship. You brought up the Patriots. They won a championship 2 years ago. They've been on top of the league for the past 20 years. When you have these teams, of course you're going to say, yeah, it's okay for them to take a year off, or I would love to see them in the playoffs. But when you have a team that has not been good for 20 years, except from 2 seasons with D Rose, it's frustration. Look at Knicks fans. Every year we're like, man, this team is not that good. Our team is not going to make it anyways. So when we talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, who were at the bottom of the league for 4 years with the process, and you look at, there's a picture going around with the Sixers, the Bucks, the Knicks, the Nets being the bottom of the league 4 years ago. And now those are top 4 seeds in the league right now. I would rather we do a proper tank, try to get as many first-round picks, try to get as many top 5 picks, and build around decent players, rather than having 3 7th-round pick for 3 years, and pick Laurie, Kobe White, and I forgot who the other guy was, Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah. None of those guys are they are solid players. They have potential to be solid players, but none of those, you're not rolling in with any of those guys being like, oh, this guy's going to win me a championship. Like, much respect to the Toronto Raptors, but Pascal's not winning you a championship.
And I never said that, though.
No. I'm just using it as a comparable. I see the growth that Freddie has had. Freddie's not winning you a championship. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain players, to Steve Ash's point, when you are at that weird lull as an organization where you're like, okay, we've got a Zach LaVine. Can Zach LaVine be that guy? Maybe. I don't know. You know, you got this Laurie Markin, you got Wendell Carter Jr., but like, do we want to stay in this purgatory of foreverness, you know, similar to maybe what Toronto was or LeBronto was when they had DeMar DeRozan? They were in this purgatory where they never made it anywhere. They constantly were there and a great competitive team and a beast in the East, but
So
they
then,
can
what's
never
the
get
Clippers'
over that
excuse
hump.
then?
Exactly,
What,
but
what's
I'm
their
not
excuse?
saying anything about
I'm just saying. Well, what is their excuse? Because they've had these all-star caliber players for years. You had Chris Paul, you had Blake Griffin, you had DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, but Chris Paul,
you shit the bed. You shit the bed. That's what you did. You shit.
Okay, hold on.
You shit
Blake
the bed.
Blake Griffin's not going to win you a championship. DeAndre
Okay.
Jordan's not going to win you a championship. Chris
Okay.
Paul has proven in his career that he is a fragile
He's
player.
going to win me a championship? Where's his championship? Show me his ring.
I haven't said that.
Show me his ring.
Wait, you guys are forgetting.
You're not even letting me talk.
But
You're not even letting me talk.
Go ahead.
But what I'm saying is Chris Paul hasn't won a championship. He's shown his career that he's a fragile player. He's not able to, when it gets to the playoffs, when it gets to a more physical game, he has gotten injured in big moments. That's my biggest fear for the Suns right now. What if Chris Paul gets injured?
But has he shown, though, he can lead a team to a championship?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Bro,
we haven't seen him.
That's what we were
2018
talking about.
Rockets.
I wasn't talking about if Chris Paul's a fragile player and going to get hurt. But is it a yes or no?
We're not saying a leader.
But that's what I'm asking, though, because
for sure.
You pointed out DeAndre not leading a team.
Yeah.
Blake's not leading a team. And we land on the top of Chris Paul.
Sure.
Team.
Wait, you guys are forgetting. You guys are forgetting about Jamal Crawford.
It's true. There's him.
But yes, leader and impact player are different things, though.
But
because you can be a great leader, a great floor general, as Chris Paul is.
Yeah, but then again, what are we talking about? We were talking about players that could lead a team. We weren't talking about impactful players.
Anthony Davis. At this point, like I said in his career, I don't think that he is an impactful player that can individually lead his team to a championship, like a LeBron James, like a Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that AD is a guy like that. Similar to Chris Paul. Chris Paul has gotten injured in the past. Yeah.
I don't like that comparison.
So we're talking about two different things, impactful player and leadership.
I know, but again, you brought up the impactful player. We were talking about, can a player lead a team?
Okay, so let me jump in.
That's what I was saying.
But what he was mentioning was Wendell Carter Jr.
Let me jump in.
Not an impactful player.
Let me jump in. Let me just kind of take over this. So, first of all, I don't like that comparison because of what you're just talking about. Leader versus impactful player. Mm-hmm. I think AD is an impactful player, but he's not a leader. He's impactful as in he took the
Yeah,
Lakers before he was on Lakers. The Lakers weren't a playoff team, but then they were a finals team. So he
yeah.
is great impact, but he's not a leader. He
Mhm.
couldn't take his own teams. Chris Paul is he's a leader and enough of an impactful player to try to take you to some place, but he hasn't, with injuries as you mentioned throughout the playoffs, he hasn't been able to do
Exactly.
that. Now, when we bring up the Clippers, why they haven't made the conference finals, I just think they have a curse. I don't
I also
know.
agree with that.
I don't know what that is because remember a few years ago they were
Chris is
playing
ain't
against the
real.
Blazers and they could have easily ran through that team. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin got injured back to back, or they went up against the Rockets. They were up on 3-1 lead. They lost a 3-1 lead in 2015, and the Rockets went on to go to the conference
Yeah, it's
finals.
this weird like what was Madame Zeroni? This weird Madame Zeroni curse that she put on.
Cerrone.
If you've never seen Holes, you don't know the
No,
reference.
never.
But yeah,
I remember.
what?
I remember
Okay.
the movie. I just haven't seen it like in a few years.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I totally agree. And with the Clippers, like last year, like there is no excuse. Like you choked.
Paul George.
Like you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So and that has been the case for a lot of Clippers teams. Like you mentioned, there's been times where they've gotten up 3-1 and they choke. And when I did my video, my breakdown, I said the one consistent factor that has been in the Lob City era Clipper team and this current age Clipper team was Doc Rivers. Now let's see if that's any different. I'm not saying that it was all on him, but I'm saying the one consistent factor was Doc Rivers. So maybe it was his coaching style. I don't know. We'll know at the end of this season and these playoffs where it actually matters. I was talking again, shared clubhouse, but I say it to you guys
Sponsored
too.
by,
Yeah, I was
powered
gonna
by
But,
Clubhouse.
but I say it to you guys too, bro. If the Clippers don't make a finals and they make a Western Conference Finals, I'm happy. The Clippers can make a Western Conference Finals, bro, and I'm happy. I'm like, thank you. You showed me you can make a third round. Like, thank God, bro. I don't care
Expectations are
about a
set
chip
so
at this
low.
point. Just make it the fucking third round. Seriously.
But yeah, like if you ask
We'll
me
see.
right now, I would rather my team tank properly, get impactful players. Like you look at the 76ers, they
Yeah.
had 4 or 5 first round or number 1 picks, or yeah, 3 number 1 picks in a matter of 5 years. They took Nerlens Noel, I think. No, he was like a top 2 pick. Nerlens Noel, Joel Embiid, Markel Fultz, Ben Simmons, and you see 2 of those guys turn out to be generational impactful players.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and then they were able to trade those other pieces for Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler. To me, that year they could have made it if that, again, no discrediting the Raptors, but if they got past the Raptors in that series, in that 7-game series that went down to a shot, I genuinely do believe they could have won the finals. But again, they were able to tank to get these impactful players. You look at the Bucks; they did tank, but they also were able to get impactful. Again, luckily they got at 13. They got Giannis,
Yeah.
and they were able to build through that. The Nets, they didn't have those picks, but they were able to build a culture from scratch to a point that these players like Durant and Kyrie wanted to go to a big
Wanted to.
city with a good culture and a good system. Again,
Yeah.
I would rather my team tank right now than. And the crazy thing is, we don't even have our first round pick because we traded it for Vucevic.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know,
Expecting
man.
that you're gonna make a push. Yeah.
I don't care for them to make an 8 seed. Yeah, I'm hanging it up, man. Like, what are we doing? Like last year, this year we were like, oh, playing tournament. At least make the playing tournament. Now we're not even there. It's just exhausting as a fan. You're like, what are we doing? What is happening? What has changed in the last year? We fired the egghead. Okay, good. We're still not that good of a team.
So now I'll propose to you removing all of our biases away. We're not talking about Toronto, we're not talking about LA, we're not talking about Chicago. Looking at a team right now in the East that I think is kind of in this purgatory zone. No disrespect, I do think DeMontis Sabonis is a good player. He's an all-star. What did they're the team that's kind of at a purgatory level. Like they're, right now in a play-in tournament position. They have an all-star. They have a potential, another all-star in Karis LeVert. I got a lot of appreciation for him. They got Malcolm Brogdon, but we all know that that's not enough impact to come out of the East. So what do they do?
That's a phenomenal example. Because you look at the Pacers, they haven't made, I don't think they've made it past the first round or the second round. I'm going to say they haven't made it past the first round since 2014.
Orlando Magic. They're proof that they're doing it right now.
I like the Pacers example. I was actually thinking about before you said them because, man, you look at this team, they've been the fourth seed for the past 3 years, but they haven't made it past the first round. Before that, with Paul George, they were never that
Mm-hmm.
impactful team aside from that 2013-2014
Yep.
season where they were in the conference finals against the Heat.
Yeah,
But
and you're not stopping that team.
but again, yeah, you look at these teams, they're in that in between. They call it the no man land because you're not
Yeah.
really tanking, but you don't have a serious chance at winning the championship. And nobody outside of Chris picked
Mm-hmm.
them to go past the second round last season against the Heat, and these teams are just not there. Again, if I'm in that position and what Magic is doing right now, Magic has been an 8 seed for the past few seasons. Tank, just try to restart, rebuild properly, and
Yep.
try to build it up to a point that you can win. You look at the Nuggets, they did that same thing in 2013. They got rid of Fareed, they got rid of Ty Lawson, all these other guys, and they got Nurkic, they got Jokic, they got Emmanuel Mudiay, who didn't turn out to be, but they got Jamal Murray, they got all these pieces building up. Even KPJ a few seasons ago, they got him at 14 W. This guy's turning out to be an incredible player. Now they're the first
Yeah.
seed, or sorry, they were top 4 seed.
Like even the Sacktown Kings, like they're a team I think that they've been in a lottery pick for a long time. So it's not like they're one of those weird bubble teams. And they have a young guy in De'Aaron Fox. They have, I don't know the controversy going on there with Bagley, but there can be another lottery pick right now. Again, I think they stay the course because it's not like they're in that position that Orlando was. But how much longer do you stick in that when like you haven't had an actually impactful player like in this league? You need to have one. Look at Dallas Mavericks is one of those teams where it's like you had one guy, you had Dirk, right? All these other teams that have won since Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat, Cleveland, Boston, like all these teams go back to like we mentioned Detroit. They had a lot of solid players, right? Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton. They never really had the guy, but they had a great team that worked together and was very collaborative. Sometimes that works. Oftentimes it doesn't.
Funny, before I let you guys go, funny you mentioned the Kings and you mentioned Bagley. This could have been all turned around if they picked Luca with the number 2 pick. But they
Right?
didn't. They picked Marvin Bagley, and then Luca dropped to number 3 with the Hawks, and then he got traded to the Mavericks. But again, this is like where the front office comes in. Like the Suns, they had made terrible picks these past few seasons, but they were still able to turn it around with that impactful guy being Booker and another guy that's kind of impactful, Aiden.
Yeah,
So I think this is a good discussion, man. Like, would you rather your team tank or would
sure.
you always try to be on top of the league and see if you can
Hmm.
make that run one year, like the Raptors, with trading their main piece and getting somebody that was
Hmm.
available and win it?
Yeah, yeah. And that was a big gamble, and it worked out. And obviously, you got a chip out of it, so it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the 12th episode of the Lob It Up Podcast. In this episode, we broke down our center draft. So we finally ran through all 5 positions. A couple good squads here. Shaq was left to me. I honestly thought that Chris was going to take him first overall, but I ended up scooping him up. We got in a great conversation about some playoff matchups, some potential playoff matchups that are coming up. And as Sivash just mentioned, we also talked about what would you rather tank and blow up your team, or kind of stay in that weird no man's land, constantly be in the playoffs like the Orlando Magic or the Indiana Pacers, but never actually really go somewhere. So if you aren't already, make sure you follow us on Lob It Up Pod on Instagram. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment on what you thought about this episode. And we won't see you next week, but we will be back for the 17th. The 18th, it will be released, and the playing tournament will start. So thanks for watching. Peace.
We gave them a long one so they don't come back for 2 weeks.